So now that you have all of your blocks completed, it's time that we seam them up. First off, I want to go over in your pattern, there is a diagram showing you how I laid out my blocks. And it's color coded by the choice of colors that I used. You may have different colors. However, I want to stress to you, you can lay your blocks out however you want. This is just how I did it. You can mix them up, you can change your colors, you could have changed your colors as you made your blocks and it may work out differently for you. Feel free to lay your blocks out however you want, but keep in mind that you want them 4 by 4. That way everything will turn out the right dimensions. But other than that, do what you feel works for you. So let's get to seaming. Now, if you're like me, don't get frustrated if after you have blocked your blocks, wet them out, let them dry, stretch them out, measure them, they may have changed a little bit for you. And the reason for this is because this is an acrylic blended yarn. We measured as we went along. We did our best. We got to the 10 inches as best as we possibly could, but they will move around. There's different tensions, different gauges. I cast on here, I bound off here, I cast on here, and I bound off up here. Quite possibly, I'm gonna have different stretchiness as I go along. So I wanna show you some of the tricks of how I seamed these together to keep them at the 10 inches where they really need to be. First of all, tape measure is very important. We wanna know exactly where we're at. Did our block scrunch in? Did it move outwards? Whatever, so we want to measure. And I am at 10 inches here. I'm starting there, ending here, that's 10 inches. Up here, I'm just a smidgen, depending on where I wanna measure. Like if I move it this way, then I'll be just a smidgen off. And that is just due to the nature of the knitting and of the fabric. So first thing I want to do is grab some locking stitch markers or safety pins or something that you can lock these two pieces together, because we want to start out on a good footing here and we want to make sure we're at 10 inches. So the part that I want to show you here is a bound off edge is going to be seamed to a cast on edge, the beginning of this block versus the end of this block, and how it might look a little bit different. So first off, I am safety pinning both ends of my squares together, just like this. That gives me a great, I know they're here, they're even. Then I want to go to the center of my blocks, and I'm eyeballing this, I'm not tape measuring or anything, but I want the center, and I'm gonna mark that with a safety pin. And if I'm a little zealous, I'm gonna go ahead and put in another couple. If you're comfortable with not, then don't worry about it. This is just something I like to do. And I'm actually, for this block below, I'm using the pattern to identify where I'm going, just even out in my brain. Okay, so now I know that between this pin and this pin, I want these stitches to match up. And it may mean that I have to scrunch up a little bit here to make those match up, but then once they're matched up, they're gonna lay as flat as possible. So once you've pinned, and I'm doing just this one block, you may wanna go across the whole seam, you may wanna just do one block to test it out and then go along. Whatever works for you, but for now, this is what I'm doing here. And I'm gonna bump over here and just pick up right here to show you so that I can get to this corner and what it looks like on the corner. Of course, you would start here and go all the way across. I'm just getting me some yarn. When you measure an area, see how I went 1, 2, and 3? That's a good indication of how much yarn you want to cut off to use to seam these together. We're using a mattress stitch or an invisible stitch. You can do a whip stitch. If you crochet, you can even turn it over or on top, depending on what kind of style you want, you can crochet them together. Whatever you're comfortable with. I like the invisible stitch because I think it gives it a cleaner look. And I'm also using, as you notice here, these are both the same color. It doesn't matter when you do the invisible stitch what color yarn that you're using because it gets hidden. But if you are doing a crochet stitch or something that's gonna be on the front side of your work, you may want to pick one overall color that goes with everything so that it all blends together. But this is not going to be seen. When I matched these two up over here, when I seamed on this, because they're all different colors, I used the purple, I believe, the border. Oh no, I used the gray. I just used one of the colors that I had to seam them up, and you can't even tell as you look through there. So that's the finished look. I'll show you how we get there. Okay, I have this. Now you're gonna start over here, and well, I'll show you how to start, and then I'll jump over here to finish this up. You want the front side of the work facing you. So you wanna see the pretty side, and I'm coming in down here, and I'm gonna leave a bit of a tail because I'll come back later and weave this in. This stitch is very loose, so after you put it in, you can adjust a little bit. So if you just leave this hanging out for now, it'll come in handy later. Okay, I'm gonna turn the work like this towards me, and I've got my pen. I can take this out, my locking stitch marker, I can take that out now. And then what I'm looking for is underneath of this edge here, there's a stitch. See if you can see this. 2 legs of the stitch underneath there. Oops, there it is. So there's this, the bubble is the stitch, the 2 legs underneath. I like to swoop in and grab that. Now I'm coming over to this side, and there's 2 legs of that stitch. I'm going to grab that. Coming over here, 2 legs, and I'm going under, over here, 2 legs. And I'll do a few of those, and then I pull, and it cinches it up. Then I want to look at where I'm at. Okay, these here all need to be. So now I've got a bit of a gap over here that I need to match up over here. I'm going to go into the next one on this side, 2 legs, and then I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to pop over here to the second stitch on this side. That's going to eat up some of that space. But then when I come back over here, I'm going to go right into the next stitch. And then over here, that's the next stitch. I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to go into the second stitch. And then I'm going to come back over here and go right into the next stitch. And I'm going to tighten it up and see what it looks like and see where I'm at. Now, this is loose. Watch this as I pull this tail. It's moving. So make sure that when you tighten this up that you're not pulling your tail out. See how that just slides right through there. Okay, I'm looking pretty good by doing that every other stitch there. They're evening up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, see how that's matching up perfectly right there. I'm going to go ahead and go all the way across, and then I'm going to show you what happens when I get to the other side, to the other corner. Okay, so I went ahead and popped over here to this side, and I've done a few stitches. I want to show you on this corner. Now your corners, you're going to have 4 squares all meet in the center, and that's going to get a little bulky. So be a little conservative on your corners. You can come back and weave in if you want later and close up any small gaps that you may get. But just keep in mind, you've got 4 corners and they're a little bit bulkier than the rest of the fabric. So just be a little mindful of that. So I have just kind of lightly gone 1 stitch on each side. And I also, another thing that I did is I just went through 1 leg of the stitch when I closed them up, because that's going to reduce some of that bulk, only right there on that corner. Now I'm ready to go up this side because I want to show you how you match up side to side. And again, the side to sides aren't always going to match because the fabric has different stretchability. Some of them are really, like this lace is really, really stretchy. This one is not as stretchy. So again, you can use your locking stitch markers to match those up. And I know I want to end at the corners here. And I'm getting ready to start right here, so I'm not going to put one there. And then this is my halfway point. So I want to mark that when I get there just to double check that I don't have too much fabric on either side. And I'm also looking at my pattern here. This is the middle of my pattern, so that gives me a good indication, marking it. And again, you know, it's not exact science. Be kind to yourself and enjoy the process. So I'm turning my work this way. I still have some yarn on my needle from where I did this little section. You may need to cut a fresh piece of yarn. I like to make sure that from corner to corner, I'm using all the same strand of yarn. I don't want to run out in the middle and have to get another piece. So just look at it, look over, see if you can make it through. If you can, awesome, keep going. And it's no big deal too. If you get halfway through and you run out of yarn, you can pull that little bit out and get a fresh piece. Just, again, another one of those little tips to keep it looking a little fresher. Okay, now I'm going side to side. Notice how I've turned the work this way. This is the right direction. I'm turning it this way. I still have the right sides facing me, the pretty sides facing me, and I'm going to come over here and look. So remember when we made all those blocks, we had all those discussions about slipping the first stitch and slipping the last stitch. Every block we did this, and I went over it with you in every episode. This is why. Now you're going to see why we really focused on making that nice, pretty edge. If you look through here, you have all these little V's going down the row. And on this side, you have all these pretty V's going down the row. You're going to be using these to seam your two sides together. I am going to find the V on this side, and I'm going to go through two legs and back up. Then I'm going to come over to this side and do the same thing. Go through the two V's and come back up. That's got me started on that corner. Now we're going to come down through like this and back up. Over here, I'm going to go down and up. So I'm capturing the legs of the stitch that are underneath where the two V's meet. So this V right here and this V right here, I'm going under the two legs in the center of those. And you can go every second one or every single one, whatever you feel looks right to you. And then I'm going to pull on this just a little, look at my tension, and boom, it's seaming it right up. I also want to grab another color of yarn to show you. Here, I've got some right here. Just cut this off right there. Show you how invisible this stitch is, because I've been using all the same color yarn. Now I want to show you what it looks like with a different color yarn. I'm going to come up from underneath here. And actually, let me come up where I left off over here. Okay, just bring that out there. Okay, so I'm going to come down and under. Then I'm coming back to this one and going under. Go back to this one. Back to this one. I'm going to do a few more of these so you can really get the idea of what it... And notice how I'm not pulling tight right away. I'm keeping it kind of loose. I'll pull it tight and close it up here in a little bit. Okay, so see all those? Now watch the magic. Make sure I get this where you can really see it. Watch the magic. Make sure I don't pull this side out. Boom. Do you see that purple? Boom! That's the invisible stitch. So you just go ahead and go all the way along. Like I said, it doesn't matter what color. I was using the same color, but on here, I used that purple. It went through. So you go ahead and seam all of your blocks together. And that's it for seaming. Join me next month as we go over the border, the final touch. We're gonna add this beautiful border all the way around the outside, and then we'll be done. One more episode left. Congratulations on how great you're going. If you're just watching this and just finding this for the first time and you haven't started this amazing project, you can check us out at onebighappy.com and get the kit and all the yarn that you need to make the 2023 block of the month. Thank you guys so much. Happy knitting.